What a monster rulings. Its implications will be widespread. We will cover it in great detail. First off, the breaking news.
This temporary injunction could have major implications on free speech. It came down today on a federal holiday from a federal judge in Louisiana. Judge Terry Doughty blocked officials and agencies in the Biden administration from communicating with social media companies, think Facebook, Google, Twitter, about the topic of protected speech. Judge Doughty is based on a prior lawsuit brought by Republican attorneys general in Louisiana and Missouri. He ruled on that. Among other complaints, the attorneys general say the Biden administration overreached its authority during the height of the COVID pandemic when they tried to convince social media companies to address, in some case, take down posts on platforms that could contribute to vaccine hesitancy. Now, according to Judge Doughty, quote, the plaintiffs, meaning the attorneys general, have presented substantial evidence in support of their claims that they were the victims of a far-reaching and widespread censorship campaign. This court finds that they are likely to succeed on the merits of their First Amendment free speech claim against the defendants being the Biden administration.
So we don't need, of course, a lawsuit to prove this. The lawsuit went through and discovered, obviously, through discovery, was able to find all these emails from Biden regime goblins and lizard people. You better take them down. You better take them down. These people swear to uphold the Constitution. Article 1, man. I mean, they are in total and complete violation of their constitutional duty. Impeach the whole lot of them. These people are not worthy of the America and the American tradition of which they were handed. And we'll prove that, ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about the amount of cocaine that was found in the White House this weekend while Hunter Biden was seen sniffing around. Oh, baby, we'll get there. First, check this out. This is the original Twitter files thread from Matt Taibbi. This is the original thread. Of course, it went thermonuclear. Look at this, 126,000 retweets, 365,000 likes. Going through and detailing that the FBI was actually the ones running. Oh, you thought Jack Dorsey was running Twitter? Oh, no. The FBI was running Twitter as a shell company in order to suppress and in order to crush free speech. The federal agencies were so febile and so sensitive to narrative control that they would go after like anonymous accounts. Like they'd go after anons. They'd go after meme accounts. They just recently put a memer in prison for making a meme they didn't like. This kind of stuff is so cretinous and so evil. And it sort of creates a window into the creep of the bureaucrat. Somebody lived in Washington, D.C. for 15 years. I've seen this. These individuals who staff these agencies in Washington, D.C., these are the people who were shoved into lockers as kids. These are not the winners that you grew up with. These are not the people that went off and started successful businesses, successful companies, went off and did something with their lives. These are the failures. If you go to the bureaucracy in D.C., these are the losers. All right. And they're perpetually looking for ways that they can punish the winners, ways that they can assault the people who hurt them, and using the very dangerous hammer of government, wielding the hammer of censorship, of bureaucratic nightmare processes, of IRS audits, of appropriations over your head in order to get their intended result. Why do you think like the highest level of degeneracy is found in our federal government? Whenever there's some guy that needs to be put on leave for the incredible amount of porn that they had on their work computer, it's always a federal government employee. Whenever there's some like freak some freak that's like living out their fantasies in public, it's always someone employed by the Department of Defense. Like proudly deployed by the Department of Defense. These people are the losers. That's why they are drawn to the government. They're not drawn to actual achievement in the private sector. They wouldn't be able to cut it because we've defeated them in the private sector. They must go to the public sector, be protected by their little unions, and then make life living hell for the rest of us. And that is what they did to Twitter. You see, none of these censorious goblins inside of the FBI, none of these people would ever be able to get a job straight away at Twitter. Even in Twitter 1.0, you have to have some small level of competency or capacity to work there. Under Elon, you really have to be like you have to be like a skull crusher. You have to win. These people can't win, so they need to resort to threats and bullying. And like Marxists always do, the usage of force in order to compel behavior. And that is what they did with Twitter. We encourage you to go back through and read about the censorship industrial complex that the government created. But it is egregious, the smallness and the thinness of skin that these agents had in their censorious behavior towards individuals online. And why does this matter so much to us? Why am I spending so much time on this? Because this is our business model. Because we were victims of this. And every conservative creator that you know and like and subscribe to and care about were victims of this. The goal was to remove us from the internet because we're better at this than them. So I get a little keyed up, but like, we actually are, because our beliefs resonate with a much larger group of people, because we are the majority in this nation. We're better at creating organic audiences like this one. We love this community and we're better at it. We're harder working. We have truth that resonates with all people. And they hate that we are better at the internet than them. They seemingly run the internet, right? From all these leftist, left-wing, radical social media companies. They feel like they run the internet and own the internet, yet we are the ones who gain massive audience on the internet. Why is that exactly? Where's left-wing Benny? Show me. I'll fight them in the octagon like Elon and Zuck. I challenge them to a duel. There really isn't one. They're much like talk radio, like they tried to censor Rush for so many years, or like they try and censor Fox, and then Fox, of course, censored themselves and their best pundit talent. They hate that we're better at mass communication than them because their ideas are trash, and they're trash people, and they're frauds, and they're hideous, and they're ugly, and they're not the kind of people you want to hang out with at a cocktail party. Would you actually see Rachel Maddow and want to go hang out with her? Like, if you were at a party with Joy Reid, or Hakeem Jeffries, would those be the people you want to like hang out with, or Greta Thunberg? Dude, if you walked in to like a 4th of July barbecue and Greta Thunberg was standing there with her like twisted little expression, snarling, looking at somebody with a barbecue, like some charcoal briquettes on fire over a barbecue and some red meat, and she's just staring at it and she's so angry. How dare you? Would you want to go hang out with that person? Of course not. Of course you wouldn't. They're miserable. We're better at attracting audiences. We're better at creating content. We have creativity and joy that springs eternal because we live satisfying, moral lives. And so they just hate this. And so what do? When they can't compete with us, even though they have trillions of dollars in investments and hedge funds and CNN and MSNBC and NBC and CBS, when they can't compete with us, they have to try and crush us, strangle us, suffocate me from reaching you. And that's what they do. That's what they're obsessed with. So they're losing their minds over this ruling. You can see that here from the reaction. Here's the New York Times reaction. The New York Times, which shouldn't you be in the service? Dude, you're in the First Amendment too. Freedom of the press is in the First Amendment too. You dumb. Shouldn't you be in the service of protecting your own industry? Nope. Classic Marxist move here. Dude, nothing but power for these people. They don't care. They love the censorship. Breaking news, a judge has limited the Biden administration's officials from contacting social media site, a ruling that could curtail efforts to fight disinformation. Define disinformation. I'm waiting. Define disinformation. Define it. What do you mean disinformation? Do you mean something that's false? Like the sun is cold, the sun is a cold ice ball in the space. Well, guess what? You have a right to believe that. You have every right to believe that. There is nothing wrong with you believing that. It is empirically false. It's not true. It's not the way that God designed the universe. But I have no right as an American. In fact, there is a law that is there to limit me from ever trying to harm you for believing that the sun is an ice ball at the center of the universe. In fact, I am restrained by law from stopping you from believing that. So is that disinformation? What do you mean disinformation? What do you talk? What is that defined as? Well, I'll tell you what it's defined as. I'll tell you why the New York Times puts up headlines like this. Because disinformation is defined as narratives that we find inconvenient for the power structures that we wish to enforce upon you, the muzzle we wish to put in your mouth, the ball gag, the rubber ball and gag and gimp suit we wish to zip you up into. That is what this is about. That is what the term disinformation means. Disinformation means information that may well be true and may well be false, but is inconvenient to our power structures. So when you see the term disinformation, you know automatically Marxist. Marxist. Let's check in on the Washington Post here. What does the Washington Post have to say? Let's see. Washington Post is even better. Oh, man. A federal judge on Tuesday blocked the Biden administration agencies and offices from meeting and communicating with social media companies in an extraordinary injunction in an ongoing case that could have profound effects on the First Amendment. Oh, you mean by upholding the First Amendment? The subtext is absolutely unbelievable here. The Trump-appointed judges, look at the subtext here. Trump-appointed judges' move could upend years of efforts to enhance coordination between the government and social media companies. Look at them screaming from the screaming. They're like the National Socialists at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. When they open up the Ark, right? And the ghosts come out. They're screaming. Their face is melting. They could upend years of effort. Oh, so this has been going on for years. Got it. Coordination. Is that what you want? Coordination between your government and the censorous regimes inside of social media? My God. I mean, they give away the agenda openly on the airwaves. These are the people. This is why Donald Trump says the media is the enemy of the people. But that's okay. I mean, quite frankly, we are the media now, okay? So sit down, child. Sit down, child. Who wrote this wretched piece? Kat Zazarski of the Washington Post. Sit down, child. We're the media. We're better at attracting an audience. We're better at informing our audience. We are not bought and paid for by the CIA, the FBI, and the various unnamed alphabet agencies that wish to psyop the American people. We are for the American people. We are the majority, and we give our audience truth every single day. It is wild to me that the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, all on cue, ding, all on cue, said the exact same thing, screamed at the top of their lungs over this ruling protecting free speech. Shows you exactly what this was about. This was about killing their competition, okay? So I think that actually even these papers are in favor of free speech it's on the basis of they wouldn't want someone like Donald Trump coming in and saying you're not allowed to print that. Okay, they know that it'll swing. That axe has two blades. They're both sharp, and it'll swing both ways. What this is actually about is killing their competition, because we are their competition. Every person that subscribes to the Benny Brigade, every person that comes and watches our show is going to slowly but surely start tuning them out. And they know that. Their profits are dwindling. They're going out of business en masse. And these people are panicking because they want the regime to kill their competition. That's what it's all about, really. Interesting this. You can hear it in the panic and the cracking voices of CNN as they weep over this decision. Watch.
Calling the present case, quote, arguably involves the most massive attack against free speech in the United States history, Ellie.
Yeah. It's a dramatic decision by this judge. If you read through it, he's citing to literature and George Washington and Ben Franklin. Here's what really is astonishing to me. This is a conservative ideology that clearly comes through in this decision. It's a conservative political ideology, right? We saw some of the quotes questioning vaccines, questioning masks, conservative talking points. But the ruling itself is the opposite of judicial conservatism. This is one of the most aggressive, far-reaching rulings you'll ever see. What this judge is purporting to do is to micromanage, really, the day-to-day interactions between essentially the entire executive branch, all these agencies that are listed as defendants, and the leading social media companies. And in the actual temporary injunction, the judge basically says, you're not allowed, administration, to talk to these social media companies about any protected free speech except for cybersecurity threats, national security threats, criminal threats. But where's the line? Who's going to police this?
There should be an agency to police this. And there is, actually. It's called the Supreme Court. I dare you, Biden administration. I dare you to challenge this ruling. I dare you. Do it. I want you to. Send it to Clarence Thomas. I want you to challenge this ruling. Because what happens here is if they wish to challenge it, they would have to go to the Supreme Court. And they know that that is where all hope goes to die. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Clarence Thomas laughing from on high. Was stroking his golden gavel, ready to just smash about these censorious lizard people. You, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, that, like, it's so obvious to those who've actually seen inside of the beast how it works. John Ratcliffe was the director of national intelligence for Donald Trump. And he had this to say in reaction to the ruling. I thought it was very, very interesting, his insights here. He says that this has been going on for a very long time. This is a build that's been happening for a very long time in the shadows. And of course, what happened was Donald Trump and his presidency brought, like many beasts, out from the shadows, this evil regime. And now it's been crushed. It's a beautiful thing. Watch.
And yet Americans' ability to engage in honest debate about it was suppressed. And so you have these agencies with social media working to suppress the truth and amplify lies. And with regard to the issue of, the Hunter Biden laptop and election interference on that front, as you recall, Bill and Dana, on October 18th of 2020, I came out as the director of national intelligence and said, this is not Russian disinformation. We have no intelligence of that. That was based in part on the fact of my conversations with the Department of Justice and the FBI, with Bill Barr, with Director Wray, that the FBI had that laptop and that it had been verified and was being used as part of what was described as a money laundering investigation. And yet at that very same moment, we learned through the Twitter files that there were FBI agents at that very moment contradicting that with social media, executives to, again, suppress the truth and amplify a lie about that ultimately, could be characterized as a domestic disinformation campaign before a presidential election.
Yes, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, they utilized this apparatus that they had built in order to silence all dissent of a true story in order to get Joe Biden elected. The Hunter Biden laptop story. It was done in plain sight. It's not anything malevolent happening behind the scenes. They engaged this apparatus and pushed the red button in order to silence that story. They used all of the tentacles and all of the razor blade arms of this Edward Scissorhands monster that they had built in order to stop all dissemination of this story.